Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, joined today by Terry McAllister and Owen Parks, of course, from Breathe Everton. First preview of the 2020-21 campaign. First game up is away to Spurs on Sunday. In terms of expectations, I'm just going to start this off. I've got very little going into this game. It's not going to be the most high energy, high tempo game at the end of the day. It's the first game after a pretty short pre-season. Spurs have a lot of games. We have signings that haven't played for us yet. I can't see it setting the world alight. But Owen, kind of your initial thoughts on the game going into it?
Yeah, I think it's a 1-0 either way, to be honest. I think as when we came back after lockdown, after that break, I think it's going to be a similar type of game to what we saw when we first came back. 0-0s, 1-0s, like edgy games where I think teams who start the season, no pre-season, I think they just want to get points on the board and build fitness up. And I think Everton's going to be pretty much the same. I think if you're offering me a 0-0 now, I'd probably take it just to get off the mark, get a point, and then with West Brom at home, that's your chance to get your first 3 points. I think we're going to be quite limited in what we can put out because people have come back from like international duty and whatnot. So I think it's just a case of just trying to get out the game with something and see where we get. I'd love to see the new signings play, but I doubt any of them will probably play. Hoping Alan maybe because he's been there a bit longer, but more hope than expectation, to be honest.
Yeah, Terry, your initial thoughts going into it?
Yeah, it feels like we were only doing this 5 minutes ago, doesn't it? The Tottenham game. Yeah, I agree with that one. I think the early games, because of the short pre-season and because everyone's still doing transfer business, traditionally when the transfer window, used to shut while the season had started, clubs like us who didn't do all of our business till the end usually would only get their season going after the international break, wouldn't they? After they'd done all their business and it would shut. So I think it'll be similar to that now. We'll probably see, draws, cagey games, and then when this transfer window shuts, you'll start to see people's proper teams taking shape and how the season's going to pan out. This game, I wouldn't, if you're a neutral, I wouldn't, set time aside to watch this because I think both teams are going to set up to be compact and like defensive and try and hit the other one on the break. So. Because, for example, we've got Holgate injured, so we're going to play Mina and Keane. So we're going to sit in the low block, and we're going to have probably Coleman at right back, and we're probably just going to want Tottenham to come on to us, and we'll try and hit them on the break with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, which, why wouldn't we do that? But this is Jose Mourinho's Tottenham. They're not going to leave us loads of gaps to exploit on the break and at the back. So I think this will be a cagey game, and I think wouldn't be surprised if we saw a draw just to get points on the board for each team, for each manager. And then obviously we've got the home game, as Owen said, to register our first win.
And just see the image now of both teams sitting in a low block and the ball being left in the middle of the
pitch. It's not going to be a spectacle of football, I don't think. I mean, obviously our new signings haven't played. Dockley hasn't played for them yet, I don't think, in their pre-season. Højbjerg apparently has. Apparently he's been quite decent. I mean, we could speak a bit about him, obviously, him not coming in, but that's in terms of their transfers. I think that's pretty much it. But coming to Terry, I mean, this isn't going to be the starting 11 video, but are you going to look to any of the transfers to kind of go straight into the team?
I think Alan will, because we need someone who can tackle and retain and recover, the ball in the centre of midfield. I still think we'll get the old Sigurdsson in centre midfield with the armbands on, but it'll be next to Alan, so he might look a bit better. Because obviously Gomez was sent home for his levels and his fitness not being up to the standards for Portugal, so I don't see him having a big turnaround in that time. Okay. So yeah, I'm assuming we'd only see Alan and we'll have Toure and James on the bench. I think you've got to be gentle with the players, new players going in straight away because they haven't had much. If they've had a pre-season, which Toure and Alan have, they won't have had much of one, and they certainly haven't had one with our team. But I think Alan's sort of role, because we've got no one else who can play that position, we might have to put him straight in. Whereas James can wait and Toure can certainly wait because we've got players who can play that position. It could surprise us though. Who knows? We could end up with all three starting and everyone's head falls off. But I reckon Alan as well, just Alan.
I think it is tricky because I'm not sure. I don't think any three of them have actually played a game in pre-season yet. So none of them have actually got any minutes. I mean, it's not like we've got loads. We've had 2 games. Obviously, we have had players playing international games. We've had Luca Dean at France. Moise Keane's played like 5 minutes or something for the Italian team. Keane didn't feature for England. It's not exactly ideal. By the sounds of it, Spurs have played more games than us in pre-season, so they seem to be a bit more ready. But Owen, are you expecting any of the new signs to come straight in?
No, just Alan. And I'd say that at a push as well, because I think we need someone in there who can run around a bit. I don't think we can go Gomez and Davis. We won't be going Gomez because quite surprised he's unfit. But we've got Davis and Tigges, and I don't think we can go for that. So Alan, I think he'll just run around a bit, mate, because you won't be able to play here, even if you do badly. And I think he'll put him next to Gilfie. I think he'll play, mainly because I think set pieces, if we're looking to win a game, it'll be through a corner or something, so he's all right off them. So I think it'll be Ferguson and Allen. I think it'll just be a case of whoever's fit plays on the wide areas.
I can see Decore and Allen play. I'm not sure he's got them both. And of course, Decore's been with Watford, former Premier League team, as Terry does like to call them. Of course, he does have that Premier League experience. He doesn't need time to bed in necessarily to the league, but yeah, he will have trained less than James and Allen. I definitely don't think we'll see James. I don't see the need to rush him in, really. I mean, yes, he's going to add a lot of quality, but I think at least one of the centre midfielders is what we need desperately. Allen will make a lot of sense. He did train with Napoli at their training squad for, I don't know, a week or something. I can't remember how long it was. He knows Ancelotti's system better than Decore definitely does. I'm not sure about James. I'm not sure what Ancelotti really used when he used James in the past, but we can definitely talk about system because we've seen 4-3-3 in pretty much both pre-season games. Of course, we spent most of last year playing a 4-4-2. Owen, what do you really see us starting with today? I mean, we've all spoken about the low block already, so I can imagine what you're going to say, but what system do you think we'll really go into this game with?
I think we'll play a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
While we have been playing with a 3-man midfield and towards the end of last season and the pre-season, I think that's just because none of our midfield can run. And I think Ancelotti probably thinks we'll just throw 3 of them in there to run around a bit as opposed to 2 of them. Now with Allen in there, I think you've got legs and energy, or Decore, if he plays one of them, I think he puts Sigurdsson next to them, and I think he thinks we can get away with going back to a 4-4-2 because there'll be more energy. And I think that's what ultimately he wants to play. He might play a 4-3-3, but I'm sort of sticking in there, hoping he goes for 4-4-2.
Yeah, Terry, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree completely. I think the change of formation has just been out of necessity because he realised these midfielders can't live with a 4-4-2. But now he might not put all the midfielders straight in, but he's got midfielders in training who can play a 4-4-2. I think he'll revert back to that because it does get the best out of the 2 strikers, and they're the 2 players you need to build around. So Allen, and then eventually Allen and Decore, and the forgotten man Gabaman possibly eventually could be part of a 4-4-2, and he might just build around that. And then who knows? You could have James on that left, playmaker role. Could have him. I don't think he's fast enough to go on the right, but we got options now, whereas we didn't have them when he was in the restart games and the pre-season.
Yeah, I can see us start with a 4-4-2. I know we played the 4-3-3 in pre-season, but it's not like that really ever has much bearing on the tactics. I mean, against Preston, of course, Bernard was playing kind of centrally in a 4-3-3 with Sigurdsson in the same midfield. It's not like that's going to happen at all going into this game. So I can see start with a 4-4-2, especially because not everyone's full fitness. Also, not everyone's been there the whole of pre-season. 4-3-3 is, I mean, to an extent, we don't know what goes on the training ground, but it is a fairly new tactic to them all. They've played a lot more in the 4-4-2 under Ancelotti. So maybe for the first couple of weeks, you might just want to stick to what they know. But there's not too much we can really get into this because it is pre-season. We can't really analyse Spurs' past results, but we can talk about their transfer business. They have brought in Doherty from Wolves, about 15 million, I think. Højbjerg was a similar fee. Of course, a player that we were after early on in the window, but he decided he wanted to go to Spurs instead. Owen, what have you thought really been on their transfer business? Do you think it's been good, and where do you think they're still lacking going into this game?
I think with Spurs, and it's been the same thing for quite a number of years now. They've got a great first 11, but I think if you scratch beneath the surface, they haven't really got a great bench and cover and that. I think Højbjerg's a good player out of Adam or Everton, no doubt. I think he gets around the pitch. I think he provides energy. I think he's suited to the way Mourinho wants to play. Doherty, I'm unsure of him, to be honest, as a top-level fullback, but he could prove me wrong. He could do well. I think he's decent enough. I think they still lack a bit, but I think any confidence I have in Spurs is due to Jose Mourinho and not any of really their players. Kane is a good finisher. They've got some good players, of course. They're a top 6 team, but my confidence is with the manager.
Yeah, I think they've done good business, to be fair. I think Højbjerg had something they were lacking because, speaking of Spurs fans, Ndombele wasn't doing a whole lot of running last year. They had some similar problems to us, not in the same kind of extent, but they also lacked some energy problems, and that's what Højbjerg definitely brings in kind of masses. That's why we definitely wanted to bring him in early on. I think Doherty I think he'll suit them a lot, to be fair, because we know that Mourinho can play with that kind of the wing-back role. We saw Aurier being deployed a bit further forwards last year. I'm not sure Mourinho was even the biggest fan of Aurier. I mean, I don't know if either of you watched the documentary, but he kind of does have a go of him quite a few times for being caught out of position or, being a poor tackler of the ball. He's now brought in a man that he seemed very keen, and I think he'll suit the system well. And we saw against Wolves last year when we played them, was it the Molineux when they beat us 3-0? Their width was far too much. I mean, they were far too much for us in kind of every position. But again, the width that they had with Doherty at the time and Johnny was a massive problem for us. And I'm not sure defence knew really how much to handle it. But Terry, what are your thoughts on Spurs transfer business?
It's not done. They're never done early Spurs. They will do more business at the end of the window when prices come down. They're the masters at it. So what they've done so far, it's boring, isn't it? It's to hold midfielder and a right back. It's functional. It's certainly fat. I'm not saying it's bad business. It's good business, but you can't get excited about a right back and a whole midfielder, can you? It's just they're good players. They'll improve Spurs, but when you look at our transfers, is anyone buzzing over it? Outsiders? I mean, if there was anyone on a Tottenham show say, "Can't believe they've got Toure," they'd all talk about James, wouldn't they? They'd all say, "Yo, yeah, they're getting that creative attacking player from Real Madrid." So it's hard to go too nuts, but I think Højbjerg's a good player. Same as Owen. I'd have loved him here. I thought he was good. He'd have been, good fit for our system. Doherty, I'd be interested to see how he gets on in a flat back four if that's what they play. Because he's been obviously a wing back, hasn't he? At Wolves, and he's excelled there. So whether he's as good there, we'll see. It's functional, isn't it? It's very Jose. His track record for transfers wasn't great at Man United, but over his career, it's been pretty good. He knows a Mourinho player. He knows players that play his system. Where he come and stuck at United is they didn't want him to play that system, so they wanted him to sort of use those players but play differently. Yeah, they're like they're not like us. They've got no concerns over adapting to the league. For those two, they'll just go straight into the team, I think. Whereas we're a little bit we need to give Allen and James more time, etc. But it's okay. We'll see more at the end of the window because Spurs will do a lot more, I think.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, we can have a score predictions, potentially any scorers. I think we've all kind of referenced the draw so far. But Owen, any score predictions?
0-0.
Brilliant, very exciting. Terry?
1-1.
Another very exciting score. I'll go for a 1-0 Everton win. I'll keep it hopeful. I'll keep it positive. James can come off the bench, score a screamer.
Do you know what? I'm going to put my neck out on the line and say this will be the first game in Premier League since 2009, since when Spurs and Everton last played, where there was 0 shots on target in the game. I'm going for that.
I don't know. You've been made up with that. That'd be you'd tape that game. Watch it over again.
Sunday night's booked up, mate. If that happens.
So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. Do leave us your score predictions down in the comments below. And any other predictions, maybe predicting 0 shots on target. But thanks, Terry and Owen, for coming on. Definitely check out their social media. Check out the Toffee Blues social media. And thank you very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.